I'm catching up. Time's catching up. I don't know if you realise.
One last thing.
We'll save that for a bit later,
all right?
Because our guest has come from a long way.
Yep.
He's got a long journey back, right? And he's a personal friend of mine. So that makes a, right, in the dynasty. So I want to introduce you to Bhai Ranveer Singh. Now, Bhai Ranveer Singh is a very special person. And he's got quite a lot of passion with, you know, things that we've been talking about, the British, the Anglo-British, right, take. So he's doing that. And then he's got a little trick up his sleeve, which he's going to share with you. But I'm going to hand it over to him, you know, just in a couple of minutes, right? And I'm going to say he's most welcome, very interesting guy, very humble, very sincere guy. And it's a pleasure to have you on the show, sir. I'm going to hand it over to you. You go for it.
Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh. Thank you very much, Roop Singh, for inviting me on the show today. Today I'm going to talk to the Sangat out here about Gurdwara governance structures tied into a little bit of Punjabi paper folding. So while I talk, we'll be folding some paper, and maybe later in the show we'll be inviting you to fold some paper as well. Hopefully there's an image on your screen which I mocked up earlier today. I'm hoping that image is on the screen now. And I just want people to keep this image in the background, and we'll take the image off soon, but just have a look. Hopefully you'll see that we have some Mr. Singhs standing around, and we have some interesting fruit around them. Can we see that? Everyone can see that? Okay, so that slide's going to disappear now. It's going to come back to me, hopefully. And I'm going to talk to you really about my experience of Gurdwaras and governance structures in Gurdwaras. If we look at 10 years ago, my friends and I, we conducted a theatre play, and at the time we produced a commemorative brochure, which I have downstairs at the moment. And in that brochure, what we did is we carried out an audit of all the Gurdwara. We photographed the Gurdwara, and we went to the Gurdwara, and we wrote down each activity and what time those activities took place. And fortunately for us, in our local area, there's in excess of 10. There was approximately 14 Gurdwara we went and visited. Now this year commemorates kind of 10 years on from that time. And in those 10 years, I think at least 6 of those Gurdwara have been demolished and new, grander structures have been put into place. All of the Gurdwara have been extensively modernised. So they're much bigger, air conditioning installed, fabulous new lighting, sound systems have been improved. And now we're in a situation where 10 years on we kind of feel, you know, they're so big. Previously we had to jump over people to find a small place in a Gurdwara to sit on a border mashi. Now you go into a Gurdwara, you've got space all around you, you can sit 10 metres apart from other people. So we'll come back to that in a little while. So we get onto the Punjabi paper folding idea, tying into the Gurdwara governance structures. And most Gurdwara we have an executive committee, and usually that committee has the allocated parking space in the nearby area, and the Sangat flow in and out of the Gurdwara, and everything is controlled by that small committee. And about 3 months ago, through my work, Buddy was talking a couple of weeks ago about futurologists. I'm fortunate enough to work in a company where we try and predict the future. And a small group of us came together and we write thought leadership articles. And we wrote an article which has been published, and it was called The Future of Local Government. Everyone who reads the paper knows that it's a big time of funding cuts at the moment. And we, as a company, put our ideas into the arena about the future of local government. But at the same time, I was at home researching the future of our local Gurdwara. So my idea was really that, you know, Gurdwara cannot exist with just one executive committee. Let's say we look at a governance structure where we have subcommittees, and one of those subcommittees could be our building fund subcommittee. So here's that committee. And that committee does what we do with building funds. We do an ardas, and at the end of the ardas we have a long list of names, and they all contribute to the building fund. Now out of that ardas, the buildings get extended. And you know, if people look at 10 years ago and look at now, they'll see that many of our ardases have been listened to plentyfold. Those Gurdwara have been extended to beyond capacity. That, you know, we have surplus capacity now. We don't have surplus parking, but we definitely have surplus capacity within the Gurdwara if you can find a local place to park, especially in London. So that building committee would look at, I think, you know, the subcommittee would look at health and safety now that we have modern buildings. They would look at all the mechanical and engineering aspects of the Gurdwara. The lifts need to be installed and maintained. The fire regulations have to be adhered to. All of the Langar Hall activities must meet governance structures as well. And that's what I'm folding here. Say that committee's busy doing their bit of work, yeah? And the Gurdwara is functioning. The sound system's working, the Kirtanis are coming. This time of the year we have lots of groups coming from India, Jathas coming from India, and great Kirtan for us to listen to. So there's that group, and they're doing their work over there. Now at the same time we've got kind of structures which are forming, which are the education type activities. We have a Punjabi school, we may have Kirtan classes going on in the Gurdwara. Every now and again someone may be invited to give a lecture, and those activities are going on. Now in some Gurdwara we're beginning to see English classes taking place, skills development, maybe employment workshops, pensions advice. That type of activity is being mainstreamed into our Gurdwara. So that kind of shows you how the building is supporting the education, is supporting the Sangat. But if we look for the Gurdwara of the future, another Gurdwara could be thinking about their role in civic society. Now every year many Gurdwara take their Vaisakhi celebrations out into the streets. So they do participate in civic life. But actually, we should do it more often. You know, we've seen programs, previous programs about the Benjis who were going into the prisons and doing seva there. Other Gursikhs are in hospitals supporting people there. So we have to take an active role in civic life in our local communities. And again, that's all coming together. Another area I think in the future, if we look the future Gurdwara, is our finance subcommittees. People are very reluctant these days to give to these grand structures because they can't see where their money's going. Somehow the committee think that if they build a big building, we're going to donate more. And what we don't realise is if we've threefold increased the space within the Gurdwara, we've probably 9 times more increased the bills that are associated with it. It's not just a threefold increase in the expenses, it's actually a 9-fold increase, so your gas bills and water bills. And I think the Gurdwara of the future will be more transparent in their finances, and this is where our money is going. And I think every Gurdwara then, in the future, will also need to have their marketing, communications and media subcommittee. And that committee I think is going to be very important in the future because we have so many channels now. We have our TV stations, we have our radio stations, we have our websites that some Gurdwara now run their own websites. And then in the future I think social media is going to become more important. As well as our notice boards, we're going to be going viral, as they say, and communicating to audiences beyond those that just visit the Gurdwara. And we've seen aspects of that in foreign countries where you have virtual temples through their websites. So our future Gurdwara are not going to be just, I think, one executive committee. I think what we're going to get to is a structure whereby we're going to have lots of different activities going on in Gurdwara, and I think I'm nearly there. So we've got last bit to fold in here, and if we want our future Gurdwara to function and really serve the community, then we're going to need more and more sevadars. It's not going to work with just one pradhan, maybe 10 committee members, etc. It's going to need our professionals, it's going to need our sevadars, and it's going to need everyone coming together so that we can create good things from simple pieces, everyone doing their 10% or coming together, and we end up with something that functions. And that's all been produced from just flat pieces of paper. Here we have more. I think that's my time. Keep that picture in your mind. I'm going to tell you what that picture meant earlier. We had our committee and we had loads of fruits along with them. And that to me is a little joke really, but for the last decade all I've seen is in our Gurdwara are what I call Kella committees and banana committees, because all they ever say is, I see our banana, I see our banana, I see our banana, I see our banana, 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 and the Sangat is disappearing. Slowly and slowly the Sangat is disappearing, so we end up with a massive building and very few people to actually bring it alive. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
I think he deserved a round of applause for that.
Absolutely. I told you, I said he'll have you creased, eh? You thought something else, didn't you? And I hope you've got your pieces of paper ready, right? Because this is what is going to happen now. So, first thing, right, I'm going to invite Rav. Can you come and join us on the settee first of all, please?